So, welcome. It's 5 o'clock, at least in Germany, and it's the right timing for our fifth tech debate, bloXmove tech debate. As you know from the last four times, we always gave an update about our tech roadmap. Oh, now I have an echo. So it's 5 o'clock, as I said, the right timing for our tech debate. And this time is a special edition of our tech debate, because as you heard last time, that Harry and I decided to invite guests, because now you know myself, you know Harry, our CTO, and we decided to speak more about our partnerships, about our projects, about background, and also the technology in it. And that's exactly why we invited Loic and Kai today from NRverse, because as you know, 2 weeks ago, we announced our partnership, and it's amazing. And I'm really happy that today we have the chance to dig deeper into that, also look behind the entire partnership announcement and the technology. And this is why we are here together. So first of all, I said already, welcome to our special guests. Welcome to the community. As last time, please ask any question you have in the chat if you are right now participating in the live chat. I have also a list of your questions which you sent to us in advance. So we will create an interactive dialogue with some prepared questions, your live questions, and have a nice dialogue and debate around the topic. That's the idea. Yeah, I would say let's start. Not so much talking from my side. And as it is already, I would say, a common approach, I would start with you, Harry, as CTO of bloXmove, with first question, because today we announced our tech update, our tech roadmap update. And I want to ask you, as so to say, icebreaker, it was an icebreaker question, what was your main highlight or main learning along the blxm tech roadmap? I mean, now it's around about 6 weeks ago that we had our last tech debate. So maybe you can share one highlight from the CTO perspective.
Well, the one highlight I would say is, well, I would give two. So we are now entering for us, substantial phase up, because we're now entering both the CELO network and the Energy Web network, albeit still on their test nets, but that process has started now. So we're beginning to install parts of the platform on the Energy Web Volta network, as well as on the CELO Alpha Horus network. So that's somehow a major step. Now we're in the water. So this is the beginning of going live on mainnet. And the other part is more or less of a takeaway and a thank you for A, our community, but also B, our tech team. When we launched our investor portal, we were quite ambitious. We launched substantial new functions, which included liquidity, which included staking, etc. And there were bugs, just to be honest. And the way the community interacted with all of this and the way they reported the issues, the way our team then picked it up, how it became an engagement, and how in the end, of course, we fixed it, which is good, and we thank the team for that, but how the community engaged with us and how we managed to basically get the best out of something which was at the beginning simply a slightly buggy launch. We learned a lot, we got to know the people a lot, and the main lesson learned is focus on your customer, even in crypto. It's all about the tech, yes, but even before that, it's all about the customers. If things start breaking, engage. And that is, for me, the most dramatic lesson, and I'll single out by name 2 or 3, there's more. I will single out Dani, I will single out Manu, and I will single out some of the guys from Defiance who took the actual main brunt of all of this. You guys did great, and now we're standing proud.
Amazing. So, and especially in such a market, right, the dynamics, engaging and also building, right, building the fundament is very important. So thanks, Harry, for summarizing that. Yeah, and it's not so much about, as I said, tech update or bloXmove, it's about our guests. So welcome, Loic and Kai. It's amazing to have you here, really. We had the chance to meet in person a few weeks ago, and now in the virtual room again. So it's really great. And yeah, I want to say, or maybe as one first sentence about you, because it's quite obvious if I check your profile on LinkedIn or wherever you are in the metaverse or universe, it's a lot about technology, innovation, but also energy, and especially the link between all the topics. But I think it's even better if you introduce yourself, because you know the best, you know what its strengths, what is it worth it to mention, and therefore I drop the ball to Loic with maybe one additional question as last, maybe final sentence when you close your introduction. What would you say is your superpower when it comes to energy and the Web3 space?
Great. And first, thanks a lot, Sophia, and very well. Thanks a lot for welcoming me to the World Committee. Well, some words about me. So I'm an energy geek, as you already said. So I'm in energy space is more than 10 years, starting with deep energy trading, hardcore energy trading in 4 years, then willing to travel the world, so doing a bit of consulting, and then finally end up in innovation space for ultimately get shit done with NRverse. So stopping making slides, so to say. So I actually willing to launch NRverse. So the story behind NRverse is actually highly linked to the situation that we have now in the energy space, which is dramatic, as you know, with the situation, both from a geopolitical point of view, but also from a climate change point of view. We only have a few years to act, and at the same time we need to digitalize a lot. And so merging these two concerns having all close to my heart in a few years. So that's why that's the rationale behind NRverse, I would say. Now, in terms of superpower, I would say that this Sky is my superpower, but also to the partner with bloXmove. But joke apart, because no, even though it's not a joke, I would say that is making this this business coming with new business model, not always realistic. And I will thank also Harry sometimes for bringing us back to hers to that regards. And so making the link between the technical opportunity and the business of energy, which can be quite cumbersome. And I hand over to Kai.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Sophia and Harry for having us here in the bloXmove Tech Debate. It's really an honor for us to be here and to be invited and to present ourselves and also NRverse. Yeah, who am I? I always say that I'm translating between energy and Web3 in both directions. I have also a background in mechanical engineering, energy economics, energy technology. And since almost 10 years, I'm right now active in the energy and power sector. So especially there. And since 5 years, I say I really get involved into blockchain, into Web3, and did a lot of project in that field. And yeah, now we founded NRverse because yeah, like you mentioned already, the rationale behind it. We need to do something with regards to climate change. We have the expertise in the energy sector, and now we want to link it to the digital world. And this is why we're here. And yeah, so thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. You dropped already a bit of information about your mission, right? And yes, also thanks for mentioning the environment challenge we have, right? We spoke already about temperatures over 40 degrees in Portugal, so it is there. So thanks for mentioning that already. And this exactly now brings me to my next question. First of all, what is behind NRverse? We dropped the name several times. Maybe you give us a few more ideas. What is behind, how started this idea around NRverse?
So NRverse NR stands for energy and verse for metaverse. And our vision is that we can offer solutions to decarbonize decentralized software. And that is, for example, the metaverse, which will evolve in the next decades and next years. But it's also crypto and it's other decentralized applications. And what we want to achieve is to offer a solution to reduce carbon emissions of digital applications. And we choose a way by tokenizing renewable energy certificates. So it's basically an established system that proves that you consume a certain amount of renewable electricity. But to get to these proofs is quite cumbersome today. And this is what we want to change. So we are basically building a system to facilitate access to renewable energy for everyone, and with a really focus on software, because we see that on software side, there is actually a high understanding a high sensitivity for sustainability. And the good thing is it's also measurable. So if we measure the energy consumption of software and we measure the electricity production on the renewable energy side, we can match it. We just need technology to do this. And this is what we're building right now. So a technology stack that matches production and consumption and making this accessible to everyone. On top of it, we developed a service layer that allows you in a very easy way to say, I do a crypto transaction and this requires a certain amount of electricity, and we provide this. So you don't have to care about how much it is, and you get a very easy proof in form of an NFT. So it's Web3 native, the proof that we give, and it can be easily implemented into any metaverse application, into your wallet. And yeah, so that's basically it. We try to match renewable energy production with consumption and provide a proof and fully auditable proof that a service runs on renewable energy. So you can basically cover scope 2 or scope 3 emissions with our service.
Yeah, cool. This is really already really detailed. Thank you so much. Loic, anything to add before I drop the ball to Harry and the bloXmove side in it?
Oh, I think Guy summarized it very well. And as you said, also in some detail, I would just add that it's also about going beyond the tokenization only and to bring really business model on top. So that's also the mantra of NRverse, is not only to offer a token and then nobody knows exactly how much energy you have consumed. As Guy said, we will calculate it, and then ease actually the access to a real decarbonization, but also true decarbonization in terms of amount and in terms of transparency. But I guess we'll discuss more about it afterwards.
Yeah, cool. Sounds really good. Maybe one final question. How can I imagine the situation where both of you came together? Was it a beer, a nice, I don't know, evening with a lot of drinks, and then you decided, let's do that? Or how did that come?
A lot of beers, but not the same night, I guess. And it evolved, actually. If you really want the story, we started with green mining because we wanted to do something about green mining, but actually we figured out growth wide is not maybe the best market to be, even though we still, thanks to this analysis, thinking about why don't we have a scope 2 or electricity decarbonization through Web3 services at the moment. And that's how it started, and it evolved, and it still evolves, as you know. And the partnership with bloXmove is actually one of the best examples of such evolution.
Cool. Now we dropped it already, partnership with bloXmove. So yeah, it would be great, Harry, if we can dig deeper into that, right? So 2 weeks ago, we announced a partnership from bloXmove side, yeah, explained the first storyline on a high level. And now it would be very interesting, first of all, what is your background with maybe both, yeah, with Kai and Loic? And what would you say from your words, because this was exactly a question of the community, what is our role in that? Which role we play as bloXmove in the entire storyline, which Loic and Kai started to tell right now?
Well, the whole storyline is obviously power meets mobility here, and it's about that. And now, credit where credit is due, I met both Loic and Kai in the context of working with the Elia Group or 50 Hertz, from whence we actually have our company name, because it's a very innovative energy company that has very clearly identified that we need to decarbonize, that we need to become net zero carbon neutral by 2050. And essentially there's two industrial sectors, which are the power sector and the mobility sector, which can do that. That comes to the mission that we have as a company, power and mobility. And as Kai says, this needs to be done digitally, and it needs to be done in a very decentralized way, because centralization is not going to work here, which brings it to the kind of technologies that we work with. And then when they came, it was kind of a apropos kind of discussion, and they just presented NRverse as a kind of casual discussion. It was a match somehow made in heaven, because the mission is beautiful, obviously, the scope is great, and they come from that industry. So if anybody can pull it off, they can pull it off. And then what made it so nice and what made it click is we were, and we are already, and you find that also in our roadmap, we were working on an internal system where we use NFTs for ticketing. There's a longer story behind this, but essentially NFTs work quite well for anything that represents a digital certificate. And a ticket is just a form of digital certificate that gets passed around in a very specific ordering. But an NFT works very well with that. And it actually relates very much to verified credentials. So in the normal business world, you send around signed PDFs or DocuSigns, and those represent business facts, invoices, whatnot. And you can almost take those to the bank. And a renewable energy certificate is such a thing. So they actually are traded more or less as PDFs. And from there, it's straightforward. All right, now let's think about how we digitize this. And that is the mission of NRverse. And the beauty is, how would you do that? Well, the first step is you take whatever is this PDF, and let's first make this crypto secure. So let's transform this into a verified credential, which is essentially a decentral form of what you know as a certified PDF or a DocuSign document. So now we have it secure, and whoever holds it can prove I really have it. And now, in order to make it transferable, tradable as you were on OpenSea, usable as a reference or as proof in order to enter an event, you can now transform this into NFTs, transform the information that's in that certificate by way of credentials into an NFT, and make them transferable and tradable, and benefit from the huge liquidity, the huge ease of mobility that the NFT sector brings you. And we had already thought about this for mobility tickets. And here was a use case that is so much easier to communicate in many ways. And we only had to change maybe 20, 30% of our logic, needed to adapt, but 70, 80% of the logic was already covered by the NF ticket engine we were working on. And that's when we basically said, all right, guys, any help you need, you got it. This is perfect for us. We believe we can help you. And we believe your use case is worth it. Let's partner up. We'll build it for you. Let's go. Let's do this. And yeah, since then, I'm having quite a lot of fun on this. This is a project that's not only got potential. I personally, as a techie, I have to say this is great fun, actually.
Yeah, cool. And it's really precise when it comes to building. That's the amazing thing. One question related to the NF ticket was a question from the community from Sloss was, is it in future, right, for future partners, is it maybe our idea, our ambition that every client can build their own NF ticket, or is it always us doing that service?
No, this is a protocol. There will be a couple of smart contracts that will be deployed. NRverse is, as it were, our first customer. And it's three different smart contracts that link together. And there's actually a layer of so-called abstract smart contracts, and then NRverse, and each service provider has their own smart contract that interacts with the central, but this is decentralized. So you're free to use the paradigm for whatever you believe can be digitized. The general scope is simple. Is it a digital certificate? And a certificate is something that is a proof, somebody signs it, gives it to you, and it has value. So that's a certificate. Obviously, renewable energy certificate is clear. An invoice is a very good example, because then it can be factored once you have expressed it as a verified credential. A ticket is a very low level, but in volume very high certificate, because it proves that you got the right for that service. So anything that you can think of can be expressed in simple certificates. Then that can be expressed in an NF ticket. And the NF ticket paradigm, using the whole fact that transferring a token is a very straightforward thing to do, the blockchain takes care of it. It's not fakeable. You can't fake an NFT, and it's non-fungible. You cannot change it. So that put together makes it a protocol for almost anything. The biggest use case is probably not for us, but the biggest use case for this, in my personal opinion, are sports event and concert events, which brings us a little bit to the NRverse use cases, where they tend to go into a similar direction. But the really wham, bam, bang for the buck use case of such an NF ticket system are events. Mm-hmm. And mobility, of course, which is our industry. But mobility is an industry that doesn't have quite this. We know it, we work in it. In terms of sex appeal, it might not be the most obvious thing, but everybody knows a sports event. Most people like them, and everybody knows a rock concert, and everybody likes them. So that is where really the bang for the buck should probably be. Absolutely.
And I guess everyone at the end, mobility is exactly that. We want to reach destinations, right? We want to reach or unlock experiences with that. So it's not about the amazing train ride. And here, guys, you can see why from the very beginning why we think in the direction or an ecosystem of, at the end, it's about reaching destinations and the ticket is the entry, the lock or unlock, so to say. Thanks, Harry, for mentioning that and underlining that. There's also two questions from the community. So maybe look in your direction, and maybe we can take the question and explain also a bit more the user flow, right, with your solution. Because there was one question, how is that entire NRverse story connected to environmental agencies, yeah, for monitoring, so to say, the origin or the point of who is monitoring and checking if this is really green, if this is really good, so to say. Maybe you can explain that ecosystem and the flow a bit more.
Yeah, sure. Well, the flow, and Kai introduced that already, and Ari gave some compliments with NFT ticket. We start from the guarantee of origin. So guarantee of origin is something that is certified, that's used existing since a while, because it's based on smart meter data. So when a windmill is producing green energy, there will be a proof that this is green energy has been produced. What is cumbersome, and Kai mentioned, it's a PDF. It's like for big B2B, it's you need to be a trader to get access. So it's quite cumbersome. So we first tokenize that, but you still have the same guarantee of origin with a huge amount with just one location. On the other side, you will need to evaluate for your use case, and we'll come to the business model afterwards, but for your use case, could be here a metaverse event. What is your consumption? But guess what? It will not be in one location. And that's the beauty of NRverse, and also the niche market of NRverse. You will have, for example, consumption in China, consumption in US, consumption in France, happening in parallel in the metaverse event. So you evaluate that. You end up with a table with country, so location, and energy. On the other side, you have a bench of certificates that are tokenized. You then need, through NFT ticket, to extract actually the energy from the different location, and then sync that into one NFT that will be your ticket for your event, for your use case. So in that case, an NFT, a metaverse event. So that's how the overall flow works, and that's also where the beauty is to bring actually a very simple flow for the end user. You just need to declare your purpose, which will be here a metaverse event or an NFT drop, or it could be, as Harry said, a physical event. So you see now even a phygital business model. And you know my wish for e-racing when I see a huge opportunity, because they will also consume energy all over the world. And then based on this, you just make a very simple flow for the end user, and you have the full proof of guarantee of origin, the full proof of origin, yes, through first, well, the fact that guarantee of origin are certified by smart meter, then they are entered to the verifiable credential that Ari is already using for the NFT kit. And then afterwards that you create an NFT that is fully traceable, extracting this different location. Now, what is nice as well is that this abstraction layer can bring many use cases. So, and you would have actually this in, Web3 space, but also like edge computing, or even, Netflix. You could imagine that you have also a green movie thanks to NFT kit. And that's where you have a sweet spot, because there is a lot happening about tokenization, but not thinking about the user interface, because nobody knows actually how much they consume with regards to their energy. And I will stop here, otherwise I will talk for 2 hours more.
No, really interesting. And as you said, e-race. So if someone is listening in the community and works for e-racing, please connect and contact us, right? So
Please.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for explaining, right, a bit more the mechanism behind. And now you mentioned already we have different events, could be physical, could be virtual. And you start with Metaverse for sure. Maybe you give the community, the audience a bit more feeling. How is the algorithm, or what is working behind? What is the magic behind? Is it an algorithm who is then crawling data and making, so to say, the analysis? What is the consumption about? So maybe a bit deeper, one level more.
Well, if I tell the secret sauce, it will not be secret anymore. No, but joke apart, it's not actually about benchmarking and modeling. So to be fully transparent, will that be 100% accurate? No, it's about being credible. It's about making sure that you can be as accurate as possible. And for that, there is 2 options. Either you know how much the model behind the consumption, like for example, an electrical car, you know more or less how much it will consume because of modelization about the engine and so on. For a metaverse event, for the moment, it will be based also on benchmarking. So you need to understand the underlying infrastructure, and then based on that, extract, based again on modelization or benchmarking, the different consumption elements. And this comes from the data centers to the end user device and the networking. And we want to get as close as possible to the real energy consumption, always on the conservative side. And at the end, it's about being credible. So Kai mentioned also the SDIA, or I don't know if you mentioned, but we are working also with association like Sustainable Digital Infrastructure Alliance in order to, improve the calculation model for certain application. Could think, for example, using browser to evaluate how much your end device is consuming, which is just part of the value chain. But if you look at the metaverse event, you could think that blockchain, the blockchain power will consume a lot. But we all know in this community that proof of stake will solve a lot of this issue. It's actually much more about 3D models, AI computing, and also the end user device for 80%. And that's what we want to compute.
Yeah, thanks for adding that. Maybe a question in your direction. It's a live question from the chat about storage capacity when it comes to NFTs. If this is realistic, if we create for each and every ticket, so to say, an NFT or certificate, is that realistic when it comes to storage capacity and all that stuff? So other resources, let's call it like that.
In general, there's two things that you need to understand about NFTs. Most of them don't live on Ethereum. Most of them live right now. Things change, but I would say the biggest chain here, and this is the chain also we will launch together with NRverse, is Polygon. So in terms of the whole transaction speed and the blockchain itself, it's already a lot more efficient. When it comes to the storage, so what you see in an NFT, the visuals, they are never ever stored on the blockchain. They are stored in some external file system. The standard file system to use is IPFS. It's not always the case, but this is stored on off-chain, standard kind of normal file systems. And for all practical purposes, storage capacity for file systems is abundant. You have no shortages, and you also have no throughput issues on that. So the only thing, and this is what NRverse is set to do, as these transactions are getting done, you are, at least while we're still in the proof of work times, you are actually burning fairly substantial amount of energy. And there's the secret sauce, which Loic will not give us in detail, but they have a secret sauce by which they can actually calculate that to a fair amount of credibility, to use Loic's word. So they can basically tell you, all right, making your event plus the NFT is going to burn XXX. Now, for that ticket, we have a certain amount of renewable energy certificates, and we slice of the whole pool. We take a certain amount of this, we create a verified credential out of it, from which it becomes an NFT, and it becomes part of your NFT. So afterwards, as you use the NFT, you have the NFT and you have proof that indeed you have, I use the word offset. I'm not sure the word offset is the technically correct word, but you have offset your energy consumption through that. So file storage is not really an issue in projects like this.
Thanks for adding. Hopefully, Fabian, you asked the question in the chat. This answers your question. And maybe, Harry, the second question, also from the community in advance, is for sure, what is a link to blxm community or blxm token, right?
Yes. So at the bottom of this, the protocol itself will, the NF ticket. So NRverse is NRverse. If you think of the NRverse use case, they are consuming NF ticket transactions. So at the core of that, this will be powered through our treasury mechanism. Whenever the NF ticket engine is used, there will be a consumption of blxm. So blxm will be taken out of the market. The NF ticket contract will need to be given blxm in order to do its transaction job. And this goes for all of them, but definitely for the NF ticket for mobility, it's clear, because it's essentially the access management machine. So we issue the ticket is shown, you check in, then you check out, the credit in the ticket is reduced, and then we either give you the ticket back with reduced credit or you burn it. There's several variants here, but that whole process, the access control, the managing the rental and making sure only those who have a valid ticket are allowed to use the service. And after they have used the service, the credit in the ticket is reduced by the amount of that ride. That's the transaction that the NF ticket protocol, the smart contract, is delivering to you. And that transaction will be consuming blxm tokens. So it's a direct application of utility for the blxm token.
So now we talked a lot about the backbone and also the process, the secret sauce. Thanks, Loic. Kai, it would be super interesting to learn, because now you started, right? You're directly in the ramp up phase, really with full speed and creating first partnerships. What is right now, would you say, the main challenge and the main target you have with NRverse?
Yeah, I think the main challenge is right now to scale and to identify new use cases, but also to cover the workload that we currently have. So we have a lot of interest. So we have potential clients already that are working with us. And this is where we are focusing on right now. But I think it's on top of it, it's the classical challenges of a startup. So basically to manage our resources and the demands. And it's also that we have so many ideas that we would like to put into place that we have to prioritize very carefully. And Harry can tell a song about it. So yeah, that's we are really hot in moving on and to put our solutions into place. So challenge is to streamline that. Yeah, and I think that's what we are currently, maybe to just give a bit more background. So what we are working on right now is a metaverse event. So will happen in beginning of August, the first green metaverse event, and this is in Decentraland, what we are planning right now, one of our biggest projects. Second one is decarbonization of an NFT platform for a digital fashion brand. And our target is to make this a success, because what we need right now, since we are early stage, is that we need to prove that we can deliver and that we can provide a product. And out of the learnings and out of the demonstrations that we can do, we will build further our services. And this then defines also our long-term strategy. So for the rest of the year, what are we going to put into place? We have actually a lot of ideas when it comes to real time, but I don't want to go into technical details on real time certificates. But the holy grail of really providing a full proof that you are running on renewable energies is to make it more or less real time. This is where we are eager to explore how that will fit into our tech stack, how we can implement it. But as I said, for now, it's our two main projects. Put them on the road or on the metaverse, and then build our strategy for the rest of the year.
Cool. And I think it's already enough for the focus.
Yes.
I heard metaverse and green metaverse event. So first of all, because I'm asking a question right now, what can our community do for you, right? Where can maybe a bloXmove community can support you? And here for sure, join the event and promotion for the event, right? That NRverse is really a topic in future when it comes to partnerships around green metaverse events. But Kai, maybe in your edition, what can bloXmove community do for you? Maybe we can support the scaling or something like that. I mean, if you have an idea.
Yes. So first of all, if you could follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, then you also get the invite to our event. And I can already promise it will be a really nice event. So we have live DJs, we have an exhibition of digital fashion. So we have a lot of content, and we also will drop some green NFTs, some wearables. So if you are interested, please follow us, and then you will get an invite, and you get a really nice surprise if you join that event. So spread the word if you have other ideas, if you have other projects in mind that want to prove that they cover their scope 2 or scope 3 emissions, to use some technical terms. Let us know. Get in contact with us. We are really happy for every contact and from your community. So thanks.
Amazing. That sounds really good. And yes, because you mentioned several times green, right? Green and NFT, green metaverse. It is a big topic. Like you started the session also with that focus, with that very important value also for big companies. now this maybe one is the right time to sharpen a bit more. What is your perfect client, so to say, right? What is your target group, and why is it important that green for those customers?
A very good question, and we mentioned it already a few times. First target for the moment, talking about focus, where thanks to bloXmove, you were talking about bloXmove addition. I think focus-wise, it's also helping a lot. It's metaverse and NFT. Now, as we said, if you take 3 steps back, it's about any decentralized application, digital application, so to say. So again, coming back from the Netflix of this world to edge computing. Now, why we focus on Web3 is because it's the most mature market when it comes to understanding the Web3 world, because when it comes with Web3 solution now, it's not necessarily easy to sell neither to this big corporate, and also we need to have a short time to market, and so that's why also in this company it's easier. Now, if you look at in this Web3 space, what are the targets? What it's metaverse, NFT, crypto, and then other applications like a browser or streaming platform. And the most promising part is on metaverse, and the reason I already mentioned is that the consumption there is the highest, not necessarily linked to the blockchain layer, but more to the 3D, to the AI that will run on it, etc. The NFT part is also quite important, quite interesting, not necessarily in terms of market size, but in terms of maturity of understanding. So that's why metaverse and NFT are the two segments that we are looking at in more detail. And Kai already mentioned the two very concrete use cases we are working on. Now, if you look at this from a vertical point of view, you have, of course, the big brands like the Coinbase of this world. What we figured out in our market sounding is that they're interested, but it's not that ESG is on top of their priority. It will be in the next 6 months. So I think also time-wise, it makes sense with our roadmap. Another layer is the big brands that are not Web3 native, like the big fashion brand and so on, which is super cool because they are super sustainability minded, but they still need to figure out what they want to do with this metaverse and what is metaverse. So again, we are about 6 months for scaling, good as well. So we need maybe 1 or 2 big names just to also to understand the interaction with such companies. But the sweet spot to launch NRverse, and it will not be necessarily the biggest market share at the end, is the smaller, in bracket, Web3 native companies, like the fashion, the fashion one, because generally the purpose of these fashion companies, it's also bound to lowering down the CO2 impact of fashion. So that's really the focus for the moment. So the digital native fashion brands plus the NFT marketplace. Ultimately, we can think about the users, but it's really scattered, quite also very intense. And you know that by having done that and by doing that for bloXmove, community engagement is a lot, and for the one we need to focus. So it's about this layer of NFT marketplace for fashion and fashion brands.
Cool. Yeah, nice. Thanks for sharing that. And now you said already fashion, metaverse. So this would lead me to my, maybe not the final, but a question at the end, more about a personal story from you guys. If you see Mergerverse, and now we have, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, it was a research from McKinsey, and they say that in the next years, so in future, we will spend around about 5 to 6 hours in the metaverse. So now, interesting question is, what would be, or what could you imagine is your personal use case of metaverse? Is it maybe fashion, a fashion walk, Harry, or is it a different case?
We'd like to see Harry the fashion walk.
So what would you say, guys? And maybe each and every person can answer. What is your personal use case maybe of the metaverse? If you know it already, maybe not, we will see.
But the event is quite a good one because it's actually gathering a lot of people, and you can, it's also quite meaningful, I would say, because you know that you will spend a certain amount of time in this virtual environment, and you can make sure that it's decarbonized. Now, it's also the wearable part is also quite interesting because there is the design, wearable, actually all the metaverse part, from the design to the usage. And there was a study recently, I was discussing with an expert, fashion expert, she was mentioning that the kids from 8 to 12 years, they would prefer to spend 30 euro on Roblox backpack than a real backpack. So it means that, yes, it's an evolution that will happen. And you see that when they will have buying power, this generation, that will explode the amount, the business case about that, as McKinsey study was saying. So I think it's a lot about, even for the moment and in the future, actually, a lot about wearable and this asset that you could share.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Harry.
Well, for me, it's simple. I will be in. For me, the metaverse will be the same thing that I do in software. I will be a builder and an engineer, focusing on building tools that other people put to use. It's the same thing that I've been doing in software for many years now. It's exactly how I am now engaged in the metaverse. And I'm not a game player. I don't attend events. I'm very boring in that sense, but I like to build stuff.
Okay.
Nice. I like that, Harry. For me, I think that there's a lot of potential in social interaction, but also productivity. So I think it will enable a new way of how we will interact through the internet in the future. So these meetings that we have today with Zoom, where you look into the faces, but you don't really have a real interaction, that will change. So we will be in a virtual room and we will interact in a completely different way, which among each other. Then I think for entertainment, we said already, virtual concerts, it will give access to millions of people to concerts that are today restricted to the stadium, but then you can basically go wherever you want. And I think also this digital twin, and we already see it today, if you go to Decentraland, you want to have a nice dress, you want to wear and create your avatar as you would like to be. And I think this digital fashion part is really, really interesting. But I see there's so many opportunities. I think also in sports, in health, everything will be somehow be digitally available. So I don't say that it will completely move to the digital world, but you will have the chance to do it also there, or it will be a mixed reality experience, which could even be even cooler than just only the virtual one. So yeah, that's, I think, how I see it.
Yeah, thanks. And also mention that merge, right, of physical, virtual,
No.
And yeah, it sounds a bit like off limits, so that we really reach and open up new rooms. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing. There's one or two final questions in the chat. I don't know if you can say or drop some names. Some people ask about partner names or investor names, if you can say something about that. Kai, for example, if you want to add.
I mean, we are backed by Blockchain Founders Group. So they gave us the pre-seed investment. And the partners, you have already some that have been announced. So Moonbash organizing the virtual events, Meta Game Hub DAO, with whom we are working together. And there will be some other names popping up. I don't want to disclose them now because we have to first get the approval, but follow us and there will be some names coming in the next weeks.
Exactly. Check the channels and then you will definitely see it. Cool. Yeah, thanks for adding that. I would say let's really close the session. If there is anything you want to add, maybe Loic, please do it now. Otherwise, I will drop my final question related to bloXmove and the tech roadmap. But first of all, thank you very much. And if there's anything you want to add right now, please do so. We have the minute, so no problem.
Oh, big thank you actually for the community, also to bloXmove. I think it's a good moment also to thank you both from the tech side and the community side. Is completely complementary with our capabilities. So it's also quite a nice journey, and we don't know exactly where it will bring us, but we know that it's exciting, and so that's the most important. So thanks, and also to the community. We saw also some member of your community on Twitter being quite active around NRverse. It's so exciting to see. So thanks for that.
Yeah, cool. Nothing to add. So thanks, Tree, for your support. It's been amazing until now. So really, thanks a lot.
Perfect, for sure. You're welcome. And I mean,
thanks for bringing a great use case.
It's a great use case, and this exactly I wanted to add, because this is exactly the right timing for projects like you or like us, right? We have fundament, we have really use cases in the real world, so to say, and this is very solid and important right now. So I think good timing. Let's speak about the good stories, and then I think no limit for big success. Yeah, cool. Harry, maybe the final closing question, right? Because we dropped the information and transparency update about tech roadmap. So maybe you want to add something as an outlook or something like that for the next quarter 3, related to our roadmap.
Yes, so I mentioned it originally in the beginning. So the shifts now to the new mainnets has started. So the ticketing engine is nearing completion. So the third quarter will probably be this last quarter where we're only building. And at the end of it, or at the beginning of the fourth quarter, what is going to be running on the 2 testnets of Celo and Energy Web Foundation is going to go live with the bloXmove Nigeria project. But by the way, in a way, the special partnership here, it results in us also having, by sheer scope, having to also move on to Polygon. But this quarter is the time of the multi-chains. So that is pretty much the theme. We will be now starting to actively work outside of the Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. We will actively start to work on Celo, on Polygon, on Energy Web, potentially on Ontology. So that will pretty much be the main topic of the Q3 roadmap. All under the aim of bloXmove Nigeria and its European counterpart, where the engine for the ticketing part will be based first for Nigeria. We have to think a little bit before we bring it into the European framework. But for Nigeria, the ticketing machine will be the NFTicket machine. The same engine that NRverse is based on will also be the ticketing engine for bloXmove Nigeria. We will see when or where we'll also make it part of the European platform.
Perfect. Thanks for adding that. And giving the information transparency to the community. Yeah, and as final sentence, be prepared and looking forward to the event, the Green Metaverse event. As Kai and Loic said, follow the channel. You will get an invite. Follow also our channels.
And I have one last plug which I want to make here because I want this on the record. This is the first time you have seen anybody combine verified credentials with NFT in a totally bidirectional and reproducible manner, and you will see a lot more of this because this is the way secure certificates will be handled. It's simply the best and the only way once you understand it. I just want to put that plug, and I want to be on the record that I said it today on the 14th of July, and you will check, you will find nobody else said it before that. Thank you.
Nice. Here you see the vision and the passion of our CTO. Amazing. Great. So we have that on the record. Amazing. Yeah, cool. Perfect. Then it's really just final sentence. Be prepared. We will definitely inform you about that amazing event, the Green Metaverse event. We'll let you know. And also, as Kai dropped, there are some special giveaways. So be prepared for that. And we're happy to meet you all there. So this was the 5th Tech Debate. Thank you so much for you that you joined the session, that you asked the questions, but also more important, thank you so much, Loic and Kai, that you joined today our Tech Debate. And we wish you definitely all the best. Congrats what you achieved already. And now it's up for full speed work. We will definitely support you, and I'm really happy to see all our results of the partnership and celebrate even more in future. So thank you very much and have a great evening. Good night, good drinks, wherever you are around the globe.
Thanks, Steve.